Dear waiting moms, welcome to another episode of Becoming Moms podcast. My name is Dr. Tien. I'm a pharmacist and a fertility coach, and I'm your host. After almost 2 years of my own trying to conceive journey with irregular cycles and insulin resistance, I can understand how challenging and lonely it is to be on this journey. And at the beginning of 2022, I was able to regulate my cycles and fall pregnant naturally, as well as improve my insulin resistance by lowering my A1C down to a normal range after only 6 weeks. I am now on a mission to help all of you waiting moms find a better, more balanced way to optimize your hormones and your body in order to increase your chances of conceiving without feeling like you have to be on any restrictive diet or crazy amount of medication or supplements. I know I don't want to do that, so I don't want you to have to go through that either. Okay, so let's get in today's episode. Thank you guys for joining me on another episode of Becoming Moms. As you are aware, I'm doing this series where I bring a lot of guest speakers onto the platform because I want you to get actually more perspective on trying to conceive journey, as well as just being becoming a mom and how to actually prepare yourself for that journey. And that comes with multiple aspects of this journey. So today I have Stefani, who is an author and a certified life coach. We wanted to bring her on here to chat with us about actually the relationship that we have with ourselves and how this actually will help you see the way that you see yourself will manifest into this baby that you're hoping to create. I'll give Stefani the floor now to kind of introduce herself. Stefani?
Hi, Tien. Thank you so much for having me. It is truly an honor to be with you because what you do is so important in helping women find new ways and new beliefs to have the babies that they're so longing for. And I love how you call these women who are listening to us moms in waiting. I think that's so positive. I absolutely love that. So I am Stefani Seek, like seek and you shall find. And I am a certified life coach. I specialize in helping women reconnect with their ability to love themselves and create the life that they want and deserve. So every woman finds herself facing challenges in life that we never anticipated we would, right? It wasn't in the dream we created for ourselves. So it could be a struggle in a marriage, a divorce, career stress, finding yourself in a job you never thought you'd be in. And in the case of your listeners, never even fathoming that they would have difficulty conceiving and having a baby. And so we all have mindsets and belief systems that inform what we think we are able to create in our lives. And I've always been fascinated with that. And it really came to a head when I faced my most difficult life challenges was to actually be married and divorced twice. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that would happen to me. So I wanted to lean into helping women find their authentic voice and be able to find that self-love so that no matter what challenge women are facing, they can reconnect with their soul's desire and create the life that they want. So I am a mom of 3 daughters. I did not experience PCOS, but I did have a very close girlfriend who did. And her journey was so tough, physically tough, emotionally tough. The happy news is that she did conceive, and that was wonderful. And she's been a mom for a decade and a half now. So I can relate to a friend as to what your listeners are going through.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think any aspect of helping women in general can be relayed back into the fertility journey that my listeners and my clients are going through, because even when I talk about my background is in pharmacy and nutrition, so that is like the science aspect of actually helping women conceive. But when I was going through my own infertility journey a couple years ago, I realized that knowing, what to eat and the science behind productive system and your hormones and everything is helpful, but the mindset behind it is actually what's really going to keep you in the journey and propel you forwards, right? And making sure that you don't fall into like a dark hole that we don't want you to be in, because if you're in that dark negative space, it's going to be very difficult to move things forward. Like if you want to change your lifestyle, if you want to change your habits, like you have to be in a good mindset and love yourself enough to actually put the effort and the time into the change that you will be able to create the transformation, right? So let's talk a little bit about how you would recommend women practicing self-love, because I don't really think this is something that we've taught throughout our lives, because we're taught to kind of give, right, as women, to be a good wife, be a good mom, take care of your sister, take care, like my sister is my younger sister. So growing up, my mom was always telling me, take care of your sister, right? Like nothing about take care of me. And now that I have a toddler, and sometimes when she would get sick, my parent would ask, how's the baby? How's the baby? Nobody asks, how's the mom? Or how's the woman's doing? Like, so how would you advise the women to practice self love more often?
Well, Tien, I can relate to that story. I grew up in a very religious family where it was all about, sacrificing for others. And that's a wonderful thing. It's something that women do quite naturally, but we do that very often at the cost of taking care of ourselves and our own hearts. So the first step I recommend is actually saying self-love affirmations. When I work with my clients, sometimes it can be a leap, right? If they're devastated that something happened, or they don't know how to move out of that sadness or fear or embarrassment they're feeling, it's really tough to say to someone, hey, just have a good mindset. Well, what does that mean? Instead, we want to always get to a better feeling place. So when we think about these affirmations we say to ourselves, I want you to just stretch it a little bit beyond what you currently feel. So if you're feeling really down because you've been on your conception journey for a year and it's just not working, what's one notch up? What's one better thing that you can feel? And so something you could say is, I appreciate that my body is trying so hard. It's working so hard. It wants all its systems to cooperate so that this baby can come into the world. And I love my body for all that she's doing. That's something that gets us from a really negative place to at least a better feeling place. Another example would be women will often think, what's wrong with me? I should be able to conceive. What am I doing wrong? And instead of staying at that low vibrational level of questioning what you're doing wrong, because you're not doing anything wrong, you're on your journey, you're learning and you're growing. So what you can say is, my body's talking to me, and I appreciate that doors are opening, and I am meeting other women and helpers and doctors who are explaining to me what I can do to help my conception journey. Right? So we flip it from feelings of wrongness or inadequacy, or maybe this is just the plan for my life. Instead, we take some of our power back and we say, I appreciate my body. I appreciate myself. And I actually help women, write out those affirmations that are a little bit of a stretch, but still believable. And if you say those every morning and every night to yourself, your subconscious will actually get in the habit of believing it. And that's where transformation starts to happen.
That's wonderful examples of actually what I normally recommend for my client as well. What I find it's hard though is because I work with clients and I tell them all of these more positive things, like, because they'll be like, oh, I have more appointments, I have more doctor appointments, I'm just so exhausted, so tired. But then they're taking care of you so that you can actually create life. And I kind of go in this repetitive thing. And I guess as coaches, we are here to guide, and sometimes it can get a little bit more repetitive if we feel like the client isn't really connecting with the affirmation or that change of perspective.
Mhm.
How can you help those women who are kind of resisting a little bit and kind of just not fully embodying the self-love and the mindset aspect of the journey?
That's a great question, Tien. And there are two ways. I'll explain both. The first is to get present, and the second is to imagine flow instead of fight. So let me start with getting present. I learned from the great teacher Eckhart Tolle, which some of your listeners may be familiar with, that in the times of the greatest stress, where we're going through a big challenge in our lives, something devastating, that we take a moment, we take a deep breath and say, at this very moment, in this very second, am I okay? And 99.9% of the time, we are actually okay because we are living, we are breathing, and it's okay in this moment. It's where we start to create that stress of everything that's just happened in the hours and days previous, and the things we're looking at on our list, the appointments we have to go to, the people we have to take care of, the work we have to do. And when we go too far to the history or too far to the future, that's where we feel that stress. And well, how could I possibly feel positive? We have to take a deep breath, get awareness in our bodies, and think about being in the present moment. And that mantra saved my life, of just asking myself, in this very moment, Stephanie, are you okay? And every time I was able to say, you know what, in this very moment, I am. I can't say I will be 5 minutes from now, but I am right now. And practicing that really helped. And I think that, energetically, that can help your listeners, is just to appreciate that they're breathing. And there's always something to appreciate. Is it the sunshine coming through the window? Is it the fuzzy sweater you're wearing? If you can pay attention to some physical things in your environment that you are appreciative of, then that can help to center you and do away with some of that negativity you were just talking about. How could I possibly be positive? And then secondly, to imagine flow instead of fight. And I love the analogy of a stream, a gently flowing stream. And you're taking you're going down that stream, and you're going to see rocks in the path. You're going to see trees on the bank. You're going to see some fish in the river, maybe some animals, some wildlife on the side. And you're just observing. And I think we get frantic. Like you said, your listeners are going to doctor's appointments. They're scheduling time for intercourse at specific times of the day. They're planning, and it makes it very difficult to just lay back and let the flow take you. And so I want you to think about the river and that gentle stream and say, okay, that rock over there, well, that's the doctor that's there to help me. That tree over there, that's what I need to do next with my husband, or the conversation I need to have, and start to get in that flow instead of resisting everything. We tell ourselves a story that we're stressed, we're busy, we have too many things to do. And that river analogy will help you slow down and retell your story, get present.
That's a wonderful analogy, and I love it. I think I'm gonna start using that a little bit in my own coaching. Thank you, Stephanie.
You're
Um,
welcome.
with the holidays coming up, this episode is coming close to Christmas, and a lot of women in this journey are feeling a lot of feelings right now. And I've seen posts on social medias where they be like, this is my third Christmas trying to conceive without a baby, or things like I'm putting a blanket, like a baby blanket, under the Christmas tree, wishing for my baby for the next year. Like there's a lot, and then they have to deal with also them emotionally not okay in the season, and then seeing friends and family posting on social media again that they are pregnant, they're expecting, babies coming, or seeing just like happy family with kids that they want so badly in their life currently. What do you have kind of like a a little comforting thoughts or something to help these women through the season.
Yes. Yes. Well, my journey has not mirrored your listeners in terms of trying to conceive. I can relate to the holidays and the feeling of just devastation and disappointment of, being a single woman again after multiple divorces and watching those pictures get posted on social media of the perfect family with the husband and the wife and the kids or the partner, right? And so, one thing that really helped me, and I hope will help your listeners.
It's Dr. Promlab here, interrupting your episode. I do have an announcement that I think will be super exciting and beneficial for you, especially if it doesn't cost anything, right? So I actually have a free Facebook community for waiting moms out there just like you. And this is where I provide a lot of extra additional free training in more in-depth details than I'm able to do here on the podcast. So we've actually had a training recently on insulin resistance, and I had a whole multiple ones on egg quality, what you actually need to be eating to improve your egg quality, things like that, like nutrition, what to eat, so much more too on there in this little community. And I do these training once a month in my free Facebook group that you can join that doesn't cost you anything, and you actually get to meet other waiting moms just like yourself to share the journey that you guys are on and keeping each other supported, keeping each other accountable on doing all the things that will be so beneficial for you and your new baby to help you really optimize your body and your hormones to be the perfect place for as a future home for your baby for the next 9 months, right? And these little trainings are designed to help you get pregnant even sooner than most people who wouldn't have access to these trainings, right? So when you enter the community, make sure though you answer my question before joining. I have a lot of people trying to join but don't answer any of my questions. I decline them immediately because I actually want this community to be exclusive for people who are serious about their condition, about their health, and about their trying to conceive journey. I want to be able to tailor this group into what would be the best for you. So these questions are meant to help me help you even more. So if you answer them and you'll get in immediately, right? It just shows me that you are serious about this journey and you're serious about your health, and you're not just here to look at information, but you're here to actually ready to learn, and you're ready to start that next chapter of your life and starting your pregnancy journey instead of just waiting and waiting and waiting to see when it will be your turn, right? And I know this really overwhelming and lonely sometime on this journey. That's why I create this free community, and I really hope that you decide to join us. So I'll put the link to join my free Facebook community in the description of the podcast. So make sure you check that out, and I can't wait to see you in the community.
Is to try to release the identity of what you think it should be for you. Our stories, our family expectations, the way we were raised, the cultures we're in creates these images that we feel we should be living up to. Like, well, I should be a mom by now. I should have multiple children by now. I should be wrapping their presents by now. And that keeps us energetically tied to the past and those past stories and those expectations that that honestly a lot of people put on us. That's where a lot of the social media pressures come from. I'm sure you mentioned in one of your other podcasts, Tien, when you'd show up to a family holiday event, they'd say, so are you going to try to have a baby? I mean, where do you go with that? So what I want and hope for your listeners is that in this time of the holiday season, they can hold on to something that makes them feel grateful. So maybe it's the love of a spouse or partner. Maybe it's the feeling of hope that they have in putting that baby blanket under the tree. I do believe in the law of attraction and the power of manifestation. And I believe that a lot of your listeners are telling themselves, like I did, here's what my ideal family should look like. And when I released it and said, my ideal family looks like today, I'm single, and that's okay. And giving yourself some grace. Use the holidays and the slowdown in work to get present, to say some affirming beliefs, and then take a minute to ask the person closest to you who loves you. Ask them, could you just tell me what you love about me? And let's get focused on you as the woman, because if you can fill up your cup, and at least in the absence of your child not being there yet, to know that you're a full woman, you're beautiful, you're smart, you're kind, you're intelligent. Ask your spouse, say, I just really need some words of affirmation. Or maybe it's your mother, maybe it's your best friend. And say, could you tell me, how you see me? And tears will flow, but it will be a release. And that, I want you to use those words of affirmation from others as a warm blanket. I had people say, Stephanie, you're so strong. You're doing such a great job. I can't believe that, you did this all by yourself. And it was those words of encouragement from other people that kept me present in my moment so that I'd stop going back into the past and wishing something was different. We can't wish it's different than it is right now.
Yeah, and being present and just, taking up all of that affirmation from your loved ones really is something that can help through the holidays. And you just mentioned something earlier where I think you said releasing things from the past and that identity where we grew up. And I think I wanted to explore that a little bit more because I feel this so much growing up in a third world country. Actually, I grew up in Vietnam. I came to America when I was 12, so it's a whole different environment and culture shock for me. And we are raised to be, we don't really ask for help, like not to depend on anybody. And that's just really, I feel like, is something a lot of women experience as well, even if they are, they grew up in America, just because of the men and the women and the gender norms in this culture nowadays, in society nowadays. How do we actually release that past? How do we actually unlearn what we were taught, like what society expects of us as women, and as trying to be mom, like you need to have a baby by like 25, or you need to be married before you have a baby, or all of the things that gender norms and society create for us women. How do we actually unlearn those things and try to grow and transform into the person that you are meant to be, actually?
Oh, that's such a great question, and so many things to unwrap there. First, we have to allow ourselves to understand that those people around us, those societal expectations, they come from people who are living their own journeys, right? So if you have a relationship with a parent where they're constantly nagging you about conceiving and sending you ideas and all over you because that was the expectation in your family and for you. What really helps me in my difficult situations and what I teach my clients is we need to send them love and to say, they're trying to help me, or they've put this expectation on me because they do care. They care, but they are on their own journey. And all of the advice that they're giving me, all the perspectives that they're giving me, the expectations that society is placing on me to be a mother is coming from their own experience or a collective experience, societal story that's been told. And I'm going to release that. I'm going to appreciate my mom or my uncle or my well-meaning friend who's trying to help, but I'm going to let them go. I'm going to let them, that piece of the relationship emotionally go and say, they're on their own journey. I'm on my journey, and my journey's unique. For some reason, my soul has called in a challenge around conceiving. And there's something that is helping me to become even stronger and better. And I'm going to get into receiving mode. So to your point, Tien, of, we do so much as women. We sometimes don't allow ourselves to receive. And that's why I suggested, starting with receiving compliments and affirmations from others about the goodness that they see in you, so you can be reminded. We need to receive because we give. I was actually in the salon the other day, and I overheard a woman telling the story. And she said, people will compliment me or they'll try to give me a hug, and I just can't do it. And she went on to talk about how all the problems she's having with her boyfriend. And I realized she has not learned to put herself in a mode of receiving. And think about it. Conceiving is putting yourself as a woman in a mode of receiving. We're receiving and we're creating. And so we want to be able to, I would say, catch yourself. When you catch yourself overgiving or people pleasing, I want you to look instead for opportunities to receive. Something like this. Someone holds the door open for you. And sometimes the instinct as woman is like, no, I've got it. I'll get that door. I want you to practice receiving and to say, okay, thank you. Thanks for opening that door for me. Or if someone says, Tien, you look really beautiful today. Not to say, well, I hardly had time to shower and I didn't have time to fix my hair. Instead, you just say, thank you. That really means a lot. So I would suggest let's practice receiving so we can also be in practice for receiving our baby, and to look for things that are not baby related that you can receive. And then acknowledge that other people carry stories and opinions that are shaped by their own life experience. They are on their own journey. Separate yourself from that journey. It's their journey, not yours.
Right. And my husband, sometime I would tell him, can you just tell me like what I want to hear right now? And because we were going through our challenge fertility journey a couple years ago, and there was a point where we were fighting a lot more because of the difficulty and the emotional part of the journey. And I think I was like crying one day, and I was just telling him how difficult it has been for me. Like, I have to track my ovulation, I have to plan when I'm fertile for us to try to have intercourse, and then I have to like be super healthy with my nutrition, and I don't feel like you're helping me, and all of these things. I was just letting him hear it, and then I tell him, because he's not very good at communicating, I think. And I said,
well, a lot of men aren't.
Yeah. And then I tell him, okay, so now that you listen, now tell me this, because I have to tell him what to say. So say that you're just here for me. Say that you're here to listen. What do you want me to do to help? Like, so something like that sometimes helps me, because sometimes he doesn't know what to say. And I'm just like, I'm going to tell you what to say. You're going to repeat exactly as I said, so I can receive that right now.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And sometimes with our partners, we do have to just flat out say, here's what I want and here's what I need. And we're not always good at asking that. I admit I absolutely contributed to my marriages not working out, because I would sit back when something would happen and think that he should know what I needed and how I was feeling. And so sometimes we do have to spell it out for those that we love and take the mystery out of it, and don't slip into the silent treatment or the anger mode, because your partner or your husband or your spouse, they're also on their own journey. They have things on their heart, and what's on their heart is no less valid than what's on your heart. And so we have to appreciate that they're going through challenges that, as women, we have so much to do, right? It seems like on the surface, the man's role in helping us conceive is, unless there's something physically that they need to fix, it's a very tiny role. And you know what? Here's the thing. It won't change all the way when you actually have kids, because as the mom, for better or for worse, we mentally and emotionally hold everything that our kids needs to do inside, right? So I want you to think about this. I want you to feel how you'll feel when you are holding that baby. It's going to feel amazing, but you're also going to have moments where you're like, hey, buddy, could you get up and change the diaper at 3 a.m.? So maybe have a little sense of humor, and also realize that how you feel today and how you act with your spouse and your expectations, it'll change form because the baby will actually be there, but you'll still have to have some of those same conversations. So this is a great opportunity to get into practice and find that voice, find your authentic voice, and express where you need help, where you need affirmation. And, that can avoid a lot of fights when you come from a place of love and you realize they're on their own journey too.
And that's what I realized too, because, a baby making journey is a 2 people job, even though our partner might contribute a very tiny amount in this whole thing, because, think about it. If you are doing like IVFs or IUIs, like all the treatments are done to the women.
Yes.
Even when it's male infertility factor too, and they're doing IVFs, right? So you hold a lot, you carry a lot. Your body is going to do so much for you to create this miracle of life. And because I call baby miracle, I didn't really think about being pregnant, having a baby was a miracle before, because I just figure, as women, you're gonna get pregnant, you're gonna be mom, and that was just like a normal thing. Until I went through my journey, and then I was like, okay, no, this is incredible. This is like major life transformation miracle that is going to happen. And my body can do so much, but I also need help from my partner, right? And I used to be the silent treatment person, and I used to just, he should know what I think. He should know what I want. Why doesn't he understand? Until I think this was a podcast I've listened to. It's called Man Enough or something. I don't know if you know that podcast. It's actually a book too. It's from Justin Baldoni. He's one of the main character in James the Virgin. I love that show. So I was like looking up the cast, and I'm like, wait, there's this podcast. Let me see what it is. And he talks about the expectation of the male gender a lot. And I never realized we, as like women in this day and age, we're always in the feminism, Me Too, era where we're trying to rise above whatever the men's doing. But so I'm just thinking, we're doing all the women thing. I never thought about how my husband would feel and what expectation was put on him as well. So he is going through his own journey and has his own perspective about things. And it's always better to actually communicate and tell him exactly what you mean. And so I've learned that from listening to that podcast. If you guys don't know what that is, you should check it out. It actually has this book too. And it teaches you things that we don't think about, because we don't know the male gender. Like, they don't talk at all, even when you're in a relationship with them.
It's starting to change. I do think, male consciousness and this society, like through those podcasts. Another favorite one I have is Man Talks by Connor Beaton. I started listening to that after my second divorce because I really wanted to understand men better. And that's a great one. And men do carry a different set of burdens that as women we might not always recognize or we might minimize. And so as our partner in the conception journey, we want to equally give them, love as we're expecting love back, and that understanding. So I agree with you. I think the more we can understand the mindset of our partner, the more that helps us be unified in our growth together and conceiving this child. But I also don't want to sell short. I think it's really important that, as women, we can be our own best friends. And I would be remiss not to say that women, when you start to feel those self-defeating thoughts, oh, I took another pregnancy test and it's negative, and or I'm having trouble juggling my stress at work while I'm going through my conception journey. I want you to know that you can raise the feelings about yourself, the feelings about your journey by just that one better thought. So here's another thought for you. Think about ocean currents. And one of my favorite movies has always been Finding Nemo. I think most of your listeners would have maybe watched that as children. And you've got the cool turtles on the current to Australia, and you've got certain fish living in certain pods, and you've got the birds up top. I want you to know that you and your baby are meant to meet on one of those streams, okay? And you've got to find your stream. You've got to find that current. Is it that turtle current? Is it the exotic fish current? Is it up there with the birds? Only you know that, but you find your current by getting yourself to a better feeling place. So when you're feeling down, say, what's one thing I can do or say for myself or to myself to feel a little bit better than I do now? Maybe it feels a little bit better just to walk out to the mailbox in the sunshine, take a deep breath and get my mail and just take a moment, and I'm going to feel better than I did 10 seconds ago. Or maybe I'm going to tell myself, my baby's on its way. My baby is on its way. And get yourself into a better feeling place, because that's really important. So just remember that everything you're meant to attract, everything you're creating for yourself, if you've launched that desire, it's there waiting for you. You just have to match up with it. So try to pull yourself up. Yes, your husband's words, your best friend's words are really important, but so are the words you speak to yourself.
And that's kind of in that manifesting your baby aspect, right? And I do teach this to my client as well, but I don't think a lot of them really believe, really like truly, fully, embodying manifestation. And it's something that can be so powerful if you let it, right? So do you have any kind of advice to kind of pull those people still on the fence about manifesting to bring them to this side?
Yes. So that's a great point. And it can be hard to make that leap. The more you practice it, the better you'll get at it. But here's what can transform your thought process is, we have our 5 physical senses, and we start to overly commit and attach to the physical senses of what we can see, hear, taste, smell, and touch. There is this whole world of color. And remember this, when the rainbow comes out after the rain, those particles, that light spectrum is always around us. It just so happens when the sun comes out at the exact time as those rain droplets are still remaining in the air, you can see that prism of color. So, but all those prisms of color exist before that rainbow comes out and after the rainbow goes away.
Hello, it's Dr. Pramlab here, interrupting your episode to let you know that I actually have a full training on how to regulate your cycle to increase your pregnancy chance in less than 6 months. So this is a free training that I have created for you all to really focus on what you can do daily to help you improve your ovulation and insulin resistance if you have it. It actually will provide you with a no-fear strategy to help you transform your relationship with your PCOS symptoms without any restrictive diet. A lot of the time I hear that patient with PCOS can feel super tired and have no energy, or insomnia, things like that. All of that really are based on your hormone imbalances, and we're going to go over that to figure out what hormone triggers you have in order for you to work with your body, and not have to be on a restrictive diet. You're also actually going to get a step-by-step guide to regulate your ovulation and cycles. I know with PCOS, a lot of the time you do have an irregular cycle. I know for me, I would only get one cycle every 6 months. So even when I was trying to conceive, I wasn't ovulating. So I wasn't even trying at all, really. And I went from only having 2 cycles per year to actually having 6 to 8 cycles per year, which is pretty good for me. And we're going to go over exactly how I did that. And finally, we're going to touch on key changes that you can make so you can optimize your body and your hormones without having to take a ton of medication or supplements. I didn't take any medication or supplements while I was trying to conceive because I just felt like nutrition was a better and more natural way of doing things. And it really helped me a lot. And I know it can help you too. So maybe you are just starting out on your trying to conceive journey and you're just a bit confused on what exactly you need to do. Or if you've been on this journey for a while and you've tried everything under the sun just to get that big fat positive pregnancy test, but no matter what you do, you're not getting the result that you want, right? And actually, no matter where you are on your trying to conceive journey, right? All you want to do is to meet your baby and to have that family that you've always dreamed of. So, if you want to achieve this dream, you want to make this dream a reality, and you want access to this free training that I have for you, all you have to do is go to drpromlabwellnesscorner.com/free-training and go ahead and watch this amazing free training and let me know if you found this helpful at all for you. I like to know if I can make it even better for you in the future, or if you found that it was helpful now, let me know what you liked about it. And you can always just send me a message on social at Dr. Promlab Wellness Corner. Okay, well, let's get back into today's episode.
So I want you to remember that there's this whole world of things happening. You get a call on your cell phone. That was cellular airwave technology coming to your phone. You can't see it. You can't touch it. You can hear the voice at the other end, but in terms of the waves that are being interpreted as sound, we can't see that with our 5 senses. So there are many, many examples. And then if you're very spiritual, you might have had a spiritual experience where maybe someone who's passed on spoke to you in a dream, or you had a sense that maybe your grandmother was over your shoulder. There are countless stories of that. So remember that even though it feels like your body isn't quote unquote working right, there are energies that you can't see that are at play. And your cells, your body wants to function beautifully. Know that your body is on your side. It always wants to return to a place of complete health. And sometimes when we're doing all the right healthy things with all the right nutrition and food, we have to look at, but what is my mind doing to my body? What am I saying to my body? And when you can click over into my mind, and my beliefs are just as important as what I'm physically seeing and what the doctors are saying about my body, that's where you can start to really defy the odds and create what you want. So it can get a little woo-woo. I don't want to get too woo-woo, but know that there are things we can't see. Know that just as you are a person with a soul and a heart, your baby is a person who's just not taken physical form yet, but they have a soul, and their soul wants to match up with your soul. So stay in that positive, uplifting vibe as much as you can. We're human. We all have our moments of despair and sadness. But the quicker you can bounce back up with a better thought, a better feeling, and knowing there are things that you can't see, that even if the doctor says this isn't looking good, the doctor doesn't know your soul, doesn't know your baby's soul, doesn't know all the possibilities. So take the good medical advice, but leave room for possibility.
And even when you say it sounds woo woo and that your mindset need to be clicked over, I was just thinking of actually because in PCOS a lot of things we have to work with is to balance your hormones, and hormones are the chemical messenger in your body to try to rebalance everything, because you were saying how your body want to get back to that healthy state, right? And these hormones are controlled by your brain. Is in the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland. So it actually is science and spiritual all intertwined. I think, at least, where if you really want to harness this power of manifesting and science and nutrition, and I talked about fertility yoga at one point with another guest too, I really feel like everything together will really help you achieving your dream of becoming a mom, because it's not just nutrition, it's not just fertility medication, it's not just you have to lose weight. Because a lot of my clients will come to me and say, oh yeah, my doctor just said I have to lose weight, or oh yeah, my doctor just prescribed me metformin or whatever medication, right? And I'm telling them it's not the whole picture. Like, you need everything to work together in order for you to create, because it is a miracle. It's like, miracle don't just happen.
Yes, you can call in your miracles. You really can. And you don't have to be supernatural. You don't have to be quote unquote a good girl for those miracles to happen. Everyone has access to that. And it really comes down to the energy and the vibration that you are feeling for yourself and putting out into the world. And I love your medical background, Tien, because you really add credibility to this discussion, because you know the science, but you are unique, I think, in your field, because you also understand how powerful those belief systems are. Mm-hmm. So to really get centered, the secret to manifesting is to believe it before you see it. And you have to believe it with unwavering faith. And just to give you an example, and again, I hope your listeners will forgive me that I don't share the PCOS journey, but to me, not being loved by a man in my life the way I wanted to be loved was utterly devastating. And I started to think, what's wrong with me? Why can't I stay married? Why don't these men love me for who I really know that I am? But one day after that second divorce, I woke up and said, you know what? I'm going to love me, number one. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, there's a man out there who will recognize my heart and love me for me. And I left it at that. And every day I just focused on love and love and love. And I've love here and love there. And it's not romantic yet, but something will happen. I know it. And one day out of the blue, he walked into my life. And that's a whole nother story. And that's the book I wrote. But I believed it. Even though I was, 42 years old, single mom of 3 kids. Who's going to want to date me after I tell them I've been divorced twice? It's been an absolute miracle. And the man who loves me has now been in my life for 3 years. So whether it's a baby, whether it's a relationship, whether it's your career, you can, beyond all adversity, call that in if you get into the state of feeling as if it's already happened. Like, you just believe it, you can see it. I love that some of your listeners are putting the baby blanket under the tree, but don't do it with sadness. Put the baby blanket under the tree and feel as if that baby is already in your arms. Feel it and believe it.
Yeah, and I know manifestation can be so powerful, but also when women go through multiple, I guess, like failed attempts, either through treatments or IVFs or just naturally trying it can be really hard, right? It can be difficult to get into the more positive mindset that we're hoping them, helping them to see and to be. Another post, I'm on social media all the time, so this is what I kept referring back to, is there was a post that said, I made my vision board this year and a living baby wasn't in it. And I just felt so heartbroken for her. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure many women on this infertility journey would feel that way sometime. But I don't know. I don't want it to be putting out on print like it's so permanent if you do that. Like a living baby isn't in my vision. So how else are you going to create your baby if it's not in your vision, right? But I get where she's coming from, and then I also feel sad and happy because I'm happy that I'm able to conceive, right? But then I'm also trying to help my client, but there's other women. I don't know. It's a whole thing with the holidays.
Oh, it's a whole thing. And I've come to feeling like tears many times in just talking to you for the past 45 minutes of the heartache, that your listeners are going through. But there are listeners of your podcast and in your Facebook group who do have stories that they were able to conceive. Your story. It's those I think what we should do is look at the stories of those who have conceived as inspiration, but not as why does she have it and I don't yet. No, let's use that as evidence that it's possible that woman was feeling the exact same way you felt, but she did have a baby. And I think, and that's kind of how I felt about relationships. Why does that woman have love and I don't? But you know what? I saw it as evidence that love is possible. And I think your listeners can benefit from the women in your network, including you, who say like, look, conception is possible. And the sadness, it's human. You're going to experience those emotions. But let's give ourselves some grace, not compare our journeys to others, and to get into that receiving mode and to know that doors will open. So here's maybe how to put a nice bow on it is don't get so focused on the sadness or the wanting that you lose sight of your intuition. Your intuition may tell you that even though the clock says it's not time to have intercourse, I feel like having intercourse right now with my husband or my partner. And maybe it's that very intuition, that all that manifestation work that you're doing, that's the moment at which it happens. So ladies, do not lose sight of your intuition. It's that inner knowing. And so even if a doctor says this is what you should do, but there's this inner knowing that says, maybe I should get a second opinion. Maybe there's a different doctor. Maybe there's something else I should try. Let that intuition be your guide, because that is your higher self helping you bring into being what you want. No one wants you to be in pain. So if you believe in a higher power, that higher power doesn't want you suffering. You're not paying your dues. Instead, that higher being wants you to listen and get quiet. So meditation is something, as I researched what the Mayo Clinic said about PCOS, it was reduce stress. Meditate is listed on their website. Meditating can help you get in touch with that inner voice. So every day, if you can, take 10 minutes to get really quiet. Get really quiet and just listen to what comes up. And also be spontaneous. If something says, you know what, husband, I'm just tired of dealing with this. Let's go have a fun date night. We've all heard the stories of the women who said they gave up on conceiving.
Yeah.
And 3 months later, they're pregnant.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. It's because they stopped resisting. They got out of resisting. They just decided to let it go, and it happened.
Right.
So keep that belief up, but
we can talk about this forever, but I want our listener to kind of get a little bit more information from your end. if they want to explore working with you further, because I feel like working with a life coach, right, can be also beneficial throughout your conceiving journey, and just in general if you have any other challenges in your life being a woman, right? Stephanie can definitely help you. So how would they get in touch with you or reach out? Through your website or social media?
Yes. Yes, thank you for asking about that, Tien. So my website is stefaniseek.com. Stephanie, you'll see in the show notes, is spelled a little differently. It's Stefani and then Seek, Seek. You could also find me on Instagram at Stefani Seek Coach, and you can find me on TikTok at Stefani Seek. You can DM me on my website. When you go to visit it, I've created a weekly affirmations for women. This helps women no matter what they're dealing with. And if you sign up on my website, you will get that free weekly affirmation from me. And then you'll see a button that you can click and actually have a free 30-minute coaching session with me. And we can explore if we're a right fit for each other. If we're a right fit, then great. If not, I have a huge network I can refer you to. So either way, I agree. Sometimes just getting out of your head and talking to someone who is not your spouse or partner, who's not your best friend that's known you for 30 years, who's not your mother, someone who feels like a friend but is objective. And Tien, I know you coach many women, and that's probably where they find the most value, is just that objective help.
Yeah, and sometimes us just being kind of like a sounding board almost can help, right? Because you don't, I guess there's condition where you will actually need a licensed psychologist to prescribe medication, but coaches can do so much more because with the vast knowledge and background with not just psychology, right? Or everything in between too. So I feel like finding the right person that you want to work with for a long time is really important. That's why we do these consultation, so that you can get to know us and we can get to know you. And if we are a good fit, then wonderful, right? So I'm gonna have all of Stephanie's information, links, and everything in the podcast description. So if you guys want to reach out to her and you kind of forgot all the spelling or you don't want to rewind back to see what she said, everything will be in the podcast description. And I think we are good to go with this episode. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for chatting with me today. I feel like this would be a wonderful episode for everybody.
Thank you, Tien. It's been a pleasure.
Well, that's all for today's episode of Becoming Moms. I hope you really enjoyed it and you found it helpful. And if you resonate with everything that I talked about today and you feel like you want to learn more, you want to learn how to truly create sustainable changes that will ensure that you will be able to effortlessly fall pregnant and find freedom from dieting, freedom from killing yourself over at the gyms days in and days out, freedom from all those medication and supplements that you're currently on, so you can stop worrying about your future and stop worrying about if you ever become a mom and start enjoying your baby making journey again. Start living your dream as your reality, right? That probably is just going to have the family that you've always wanted, instead of constantly living fear and feel stuck on your trying to conceive journey. Then I really invite you to connect with me. I want to get to know you better and I want to show you how I can make all of that happen for you, right? We'll actually chat for 45 whole minutes where we'll hash out a strategic plan to help you see that regulating your cycles and ovulation isn't all that impossible anymore. But I'll only want you to reach out if you feel like you are 110% committed to your health and that you are ready to take massive action to make it happen, okay? Because we can both talk and talk until we're both blue in the face, but if you are not willing to invest in your health, not willing to invest in yourself, then nothing we can say can really change anything, right? So if you really think that is you and you are ready to see where your powerful self can really take you, then all you gotta do is go to drpromlatwellnesscorner.com/apply and book a free roadmap call with me. I am committed to you and your health, and I will work with you until you are successful. During the session, we will evaluate where your strengths are and what's currently working for you, and then we'll take a look at what we can improve upon, as well as mapping out a plan for you to get there. And then if you are a really good fit, I'll actually offer you a spot in my Becoming Moms community where we will work further with you on how to create a more sustainable and less restrictive way so you can actually optimize your hormones in your body to increase your chances of conceiving without having to think about if you'll ovulate this month at all. Also, make sure to fill out the little short survey attached to our call before the session. So I have a bit of a background on you to better prepare and plan for our session to make sure that you will get the most out of your time with me. Okay, well, I can't wait to speak with you soon. Until then, sending you lots of baby dust.